Hey guys, it's Andrea with No Bucks Given, and today is going to be the May sinking fund review video. So this video is fairly new to my channel. If you are new, hello, how are you doing? I hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday. But like I said, this is a fairly new video that I've been trying out with my channel. Last month we did one for May, and this month I'll be going over the deposits I made from my paychecks and the transactions that came out from the sinking funds to see if I was able to save or if I spent too much. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get you zoomed in, and then we'll get started. Be right back. And we are back. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the auto. So what I did was I went over all of my budget setup sheets and my spending trackers. So I went over all the spending trackers that happened, or transactions that happened during the month of May, and I also went over my paycheck budget sheets, and I just pulled the numbers, and we're just gonna look to see what that looked like for the month of May. Okay, so for May 1st through May 31st, this is the activity that happened. So first I had a paycheck deposit for auto. This is for my auto sinking fund. I had a paycheck deposit for 20, and then the second paycheck for May I had another 20 that was deposited, and then for my last paycheck for May I was able to save 35. So I was able to put away $75 towards my auto sinking fund, and my last balance at the end of April was $15.85. So that, along with the 75, brought me to a total of $1,660 even. So I was able to net. I didn't have any negative for the auto and vehicle. Thank goodness. I'm gonna knock on wood that my car is still running just fine. And so what I'll keep doing is try to save my monthly goal. So I was way above the monthly, and that also what also helped was when I had the mileage reimbursement. So whenever I get mileage reimbursement with work, I just put that towards my auto/vehicle sinking fund. So that was pretty good. All right, on to the Christmas/gift sinking fund. So from May 1st through May 31st, I had some activity. So the first paycheck I was able to deposit $45. Then I spent $19.63. I think this was my mom's gift for Mother's Day. Pretty positive that's what it was. Then I made a paycheck deposit for $44.63. And then for my last paycheck for May, I was able to save another $45. So I was able to put away $115. So if I get the $115 plus the remaining balance from April of $250, I am currently at $365. So this is another one where, there was a little bit of spending, but my savings made up for it. And I also met my monthly goal of $70. So that's good. Good stuff. Okay, on to emergency. So for emergency, this one also didn't have too much activity going on during the month of May. I had my first paycheck deposit for $45, my second paycheck also for $45, and then my last paycheck for $45. So I was able to save $135. And in case if you're wondering why there's 3 paychecks that I'm referencing, it's because May was a magic month for me, which meant that I received 3 paychecks during the month of May. So the $135 plus the last balance of $13.50 leaves me with $1,485 for my emergency savings. And I was so close to doubling my monthly goal, but I'm happy with that. That magic month really helped out quite a bit. Okay, on to household. So for household, this one's also fairly quiet. So for the month of May, let me do that. there was a deposit for my first paycheck for $85, and then for my second paycheck I was able to save $80. Between my second paycheck and my third paycheck, I spent $45.98. And then for my last paycheck for the month of May, I was able to put away $85.98. So that left me with a positive $205 being added to my household sinking fund. So the $205 plus the $1180 that was already in my sinking fund leaves me with a balance of $1,385 for the month of May. So I was able to meet my monthly goal. Super, super good. What we'll find is that it only lasts for so long. Let me go ahead and take out the next trackers. So for Lily, Miss Lily. Hi, okay, so she had a lot of spending for the month of May. If you watched any of my budget with me videos and my weekly check-ins, you would have saw that homegirl set my credit card on fire, but it's fine. So my first paycheck, I was able to put away $132.49. Then we spent a whopping $255.18. After that, my next paycheck was for $120.18. But then there was also the little bit of spending for the camping trip of $21.99. That was for her lead that we got. And then this last paycheck that I had, I put $121.99 towards her sinking fund, so the last paycheck was for $121.99, but then I also took her to the vet recently, and that was $58.50. So Lily had a positive $38.99. So that, along with the last $802.51, leaves her with $841.50. So I wasn't able to meet her goal of what I would like to deposit, but that first transaction that week of spending for the $255, that was like a vet appointment. That was also a grooming appointment. Plus we also got her her restock of her dry food, which we buy in bulk, and just some other little miscellaneous stuff. So there's going to be times when I spend a lot on her just to get her all caught up with everything. And then depending on how it falls, like in the month, her grooming and her vet appointments fall within the same week. So that is totally fine. But I'm glad that there was still a positive. Okay, on to medical. Medical was a little rough, but this was expected. So my first paycheck, I was able to put away $90. Then I had my payment of, it was $435 for my ER visit. And then I also had a $50 payment for my endoscopy. So that came out to a negative $485. Then in my next paycheck, I was able to save $90. And then the following, I had a $313.48 spending, and that was for a bill that I received in the mail for the anesthesiologist for my endoscopy that I had in January, plus some other little miscellaneous things I can't remember. And then I also had a small spending of $5.99. I think that might have been for the bug spray for this recent camping trip. And then with my last paycheck, I was able to put away $94.47, which means that I was at a negative $530 for the month of May. But like I said, this is to be expected because of the ongoing medical bills that I'm on a payment plan with, and so it is what it is. So that plus the $1970 that I already have in my sinking funds leaves me with $1,440, and I'm almost close to paying off that big medical bill. I think I have around like 12 or 1100 left. So I should be fine to not have to dip into my emergency. But I got another bill for, who was it for? I think it was for the pathology when they did biopsies for my endoscopy. I just received that one. I don't like that they come so late. This was back in January and we're already in June, and I'm still getting like random bills. I wish they would have all came at once, but it is what it is. So I'm either going to have to bump up my medical, or I might have to dip into my emergency. But either way, I'm still glad that I'm on the payment plan, because then at least I still have a certain amount of cash to allocate in case if something else were to come up. Okay, on to the next one. So for self-care, this is not a high priority for me right now. So for the month of, but I did do some spending with it, surprisingly. So for the month of May, I spent $24 when we went to the farmer's market. That I consider myself a self-care day, just because I like the farmer's market. We bought food. I was happy-go-lucky. No cares, no worries. The money was there for me to spend how I wanted, and I wanted to spend it on treats at the farmer's market. Then I added $23.03 from one of my paychecks, and then shortly after that I spent $45 for me to pay for my registration for kickball. So that left me with a negative $45.97. And like I said, this sinking fund is not really a priority for me right now, but I'll start putting a little bit more to it, so that way I'm not, wiping it clean. So the negative $45.97 plus the $190.97 would leave me with $145 left. And I should actually start putting more to this one now, because my cousin's wedding is going to be coming up in a few weeks, and I'm going to want to get my nails done and my eyebrows waxed, and probably some other like miscellaneous things as far as accessories go for my dress that I'm going to wear and whatnot. So I'm probably going to have to bump this up a little bit. It won't cost too much, but still I'm going to have to beef that up a little bit. Okay, my favorite, vacation. So with Jake and I living out of state from our respected home states, we do spend a lot, but we also did some fun spending, living where we're at. So for the month of May, 5/1 to 5/31, we had, first I was able to put away $230 from my first paycheck. Then we spent $249 for just, that was my flight. Yeah, I believe that was just my flight. So that was $249. Then we went to camping. Oops, sorry. Let me get that again. So $230 minus $249. Okay, that's right. Then we went camping. So that was an additional $85.02 that we spent on groceries. And then with my last paycheck, I was able to put away $209.02. And then this recent trip to the zoo, that was $191.20. So then that leaves me with a negative $86.20. And this honestly is not that bad. I thought it was going to be much worse when it came to like us buying the flights, us going camping, and us going to the zoo, especially because we had that little like surprise transactions of buying like $60 sweaters each. But that wasn't that bad. So the $86.20 subtracted from the $660 that I had in my sinking fund leaves us with, so $660 subtract $86.20 leaves me with $573.80. So I didn't wipe out any of my sinking funds, thank goodness. The one that I get really worried about is the medical, but it looks like I was kind of like even as far as, having some that lost money versus some that didn't lose any money. I think I was still in the negative for this month, but that's going to be like that for a while I'm taking care of this medical debt. otherwise, I'm really happy with what I was able to save and what I was able to put away. And if anything, that's just encouraging me to still stick with my, goal of at least saving an extra $100 between pay periods with the savings challenges. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get you zoomed out, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, I'll be right back. And we are back. So thank you guys again so much. If this is something that you are interested in incorporating with your budgeting, budgeting setup, this is a sheet that I purchased from the Printable Plans over on Etsy. One thing that I find interesting about this new video that I've been making is that this is something I never really tracked before. I only just made my deposits and just saw what my balances were. But having seen the actual number of what was either a positive or a negative that hit each sinking fund is kind of eye-opening. I'm not upset that some of these are in the negative. It is what it is. That's what the sinking fund is for, because you might have to spend from it. And I'm feeling comfortable with the decisions that I made as far as when I went over my spending, picking what sinking fund for it to come out of. And I'm also okay with it all not coming out of my variable expenses. So I'm feeling pretty okay with this. I'm looking forward to when the medical bills will be paid off, so that way I'm not so much in the negative. And then vacation, I think vacation is just for Jake and for our lifestyle that Jake and I have. We're going to be traveling, as much as we can right now. And I know that we have like the wedding that's coming up, and we're going to be doing more traveling with that. And then, we don't really spend lavishly on like clothing or anything like that. We usually just spend it on experiences that we go on with our friends, as far as like trips and whatnot. So that, if I ever do get it to 2,500 again, that means that we were probably very quiet for a while. So yeah, that's pretty much it, friends. I hope that this might have helped in some type of way. And like I said, if you want to incorporate this with your budgeting, the link for this sheet will be in the description below. And as always, I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Okay, bye guys.